going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, Dennis Schroeder of the Lakers, apparently he's close to 2 different types of deals. One with the Lakers would be a 4-year $120 million deal, which I think is crazy, but also he has a deal maybe with the Chicago Bulls for 5 years $150 million, which I think is even crazier. But I think the only way that could be executed is with a sign-in trade, which wouldn't hurt the Lakers if they don't take back, 30 some odd million back, like dollars or more. So I think they can do that, whether it's another extra draft pick or 2, a player, even like a Zach LaVine, if the Bulls are willing to do that. I mean, that would be pretty awesome. I think that's how they could easily afford to pay a guy like Schroeder that much amount of money, but I don't know. Hopefully we get something in return if he ends up going to Chicago and not getting anything in return, like what happens with a lot of these NBA players. Then Rashawn Slater, the first-round pick offensive lineman of the Chargers, finally signed his rookie deal. It's 4 years, fully guaranteed as always, and I'm sure there's that 5th-year option like most guys get who are selected in the first round. So that's cool. Finally got it done. There was still like him and 3 other guys who weren't officially signed, which is pretty crazy. I'll get to another USC guy who officially signed as well the other day, but yeah, finally he's on the books, so that's cool. Then the Pac-12 media, or West Coast media, has picked USC to win the Pac-12 South once again, which is not always nice, but we'll see what they can do. A lot of other teams are getting better, especially ASU, but luckily they're kind of dealing with their own off-the-field drama, so hopefully that kind of tempers down their ability to play and focus, hopefully. But yes, it's kind of obvious that they were to be the winners of that Pac-12 South. It always ends up being something weird if USC ends up tripping up themselves or losing to another team or 2 in their division. And of course Oregon was picked on the other side, so it'll be a rematch. And I don't know, this seems like a different USC team than that Oregon team, but they still have a lot of talented guys that they have stolen away from USC in California. So either way, it should be a good matchup, hopefully, in the Pac-12 championship game. Then the Lakers are actually in talks with the Kings. They've been in talks apparently the past couple days, that a deal that would involve Buddy Hield, the shooting guard from Sacramento, to be traded for at least Kyle Kuzma, as it is right now, of the Lakers. They have to throw in a couple more players to match up salary, of course, and we'll see if draft picks get swapped as well. But I'm assuming the Kings are just willing to get rid of him, and I don't know why they would want to give him to a divisional opponent, but maybe they just don't care and they want to rebuild as soon as possible. But yes, I think this would benefit the Lakers just because he is a higher 3-point shooter than most guys. He does have, not that great defensive skills. He is somewhat athletic, but just have another guy who solidly can space the floor with LeBron and AD, almost like a 40% shooter from 3, which is really good. So hopefully a deal like that can get done. And then even Kyle Kuzma, both Kyle Kuzma and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope have been offered together to multiple teams, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. So I don't know, they are trying to shop them around. I think that's a good thing, just to see what you can get from any team in the NBA, because you could find a couple steals here and there and end up saving some money as well, instead of going after a guy where you have to find extra money like a Buddy Hield. But either way, at least they're doing their due diligence, which is good. And then there was also a report that the Lakers are interested in maybe trading away their first-round pick, number 22, overall, and trying to get some extra picks, maybe late first, early second, 2 in the second. They're at least trying to make 1 pick turn into 2 like they did a couple years back. So hopefully that does work. I've always been a proponent of that. This draft is very deep, so I think you can find solid players, solid rotation players throughout the second round, in my opinion. So hopefully that does happen. And actually the NBA draft is this Thursday, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Should be very exciting. Then the Anaheim Ducks made their first round pick at number 3 overall last week. and it was a center named Mason McTavish. I don't know if he was coming out of high school or some type of junior leagues or college or whatever, but I mean, he has to be a pretty good player if you're picking him that high. It is an offensive player. I believe they went defense or maybe offense last time. I forget because they had 2 first-round picks, but I don't know. You are losing a guy like Kessler and other guys, so you might as well have to fold up the offense as soon as possible. So hopefully this guy can play sooner than later, but you know, it's the Ducks. Then the Big 12, they recently had crazy news saying that, you know, Texas and Oklahoma might be leaving for the SEC, which includes like Alabama, LSU, that conference, which is pretty crazy. But the Big 12 supposedly has also talked with the Pac-12 about creating a super league of like 20 teams. I don't know exactly what 20 or what total teams, at 8 teams I guess it would be, that the Big 12 would bring along, but you know, you just hope it's good enough teams and not crappy teams, and you know, we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I believe George K, I don't know how to say his last name, but the new commissioner of the Pac-12 hasn't really said they are going to realign and add teams at this moment, but in the near future it's a possibility, so something to look forward to, I guess. And then because of that news, they've of course did an article saying that it's now the perfect time for Matt Campbell, the coach of Iowa State, to be hired by USC. I've been trying to get this guy hired at USC for the past 2 or 3 years now. I don't know how long it's been I've been saying it, but yes, of course this article has to say what I've been saying, and I don't know. I think he's a perfect guy. He's the type of recruiter slash coach I would want on my team, and I don't think he's fazed by being in LA either. I think he would do his work, not have to worry about any and all the extra stuff that comes with living in Los Angeles. So that's what I would like in my head coach. Then Kedon Slovis, the quarterback for USC, has signed a contract for his name, image, and likeness with Klutch Sports, which is owned by LeBron's friend. So I'm pretty sure they believe very highly in him if they're gonna sign him like that. One of the first guys in college football that I believe has signed with them, but yeah, we'll see what he can do. Apparently they think he can make a lot of money. And then there was also an article suggesting that because of this name, image, and likeness stuff, that the players are going to start making money now. If the schools that don't put names on the back of their jerseys are going to have to start doing that now as well, because of these players starting to make money off their name. And that's how they kind of, I guess, got away with it before, because they would just have these players without a name on the back and then have to reuse the same number basically, and you could say this was this number, like, oh, the number 8 past couple years has been Amon-Ra St. Brown, the receiver, but it belonged to Dwayne Jarrett as well, so you could say you got it back then. So I don't know, I think the players and their companies should sell it, but as far as the schools, I think they should still stick with the no name on there. I think that I prefer that way to go, but I just think it looks better in my opinion. Then the NFL mentioned that they would forfeit games because they're not trying to like reschedule or do any crazy games like on Tuesday or Wednesday, an extra Monday game anymore. So if your players don't have enough players because of COVID, then they're gonna just forfeit the game, which I guess makes a lot of sense now, and that's why most teams are kind of trying to vaccinate most of their players, but a lot of players aren't willing to do that as well. Even I think USC has like about 90% vaccinated players, and all the support staff and coaching staff are 100% vaccinated. So you never know, it's definitely an advantage and it could be a good thing, so might as well just do it. Then Onyeka Okongwu of USC, who was drafted by the Hawks, had a pretty successful season with them. They made the Eastern Conference Finals in his rookie year, but he did end up having recently shoulder surgery, so it will keep him out 6 months. So he will miss like a month or two beginning of the year, but it's all good. They don't expect him to be the main starter, anything like that, unless John Collins ends up leaving, then they might. But I don't know, either way I still think it gives him enough time to be ready for the playoffs next year, so that's all good for him. Then there was some news that both DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, both ex-teammates on Toronto Raptors, they would be willing to come to the LA Lakers. They're eyeing the Lakers, as it says, but I don't know, because I've heard DeRozan say he's willing to take pretty much like a hometown discount. We go like on a cheap, really cheap deal. I haven't heard the same thing from Lowry, because I think he wants like a $90 million deal, which I don't agree with, because he is an older player. I don't think he's going to be worth that, but a lot of these point guards are trying to get as much money as they can, which is pretty crazy. Then, as I mentioned before, Alijah Vera-Tucker, the USC guard that was selected in the first round by the Jets, finally has signed his contract as well. So congrats to him. He can focus on that, not have to worry about the money anymore. And yeah, good thing he got that over with. Then the Lakers did a qualifying offer for Talen Horton-Tucker. So now he's become a restricted free agent. So if he somehow ends up going the whole offseason without getting a contract, then he could sign that 1-year deal. It's probably like $1 or $2 million with the Lakers, or most likely some teams believe in him, which I don't really know why, but they will probably offer him like a 3 or 4 year deal, and the Lakers have a couple days to decide if they want to re-sign him or not on that same deal. But kind of hope they don't, especially if it's out of their price range, but that's just my opinion. Then, as I mentioned before, Devin Brown, the quarterback, coming in. He still has 1 more year of high school left, but as I mentioned, he's always a 3-star guy, but as of right now, he is rising up in the rankings. I'm pretty sure because of what he did at the Elite 11 camp, which is cool. And now he's actually a 4-star quarterback, so like I mentioned, I knew he was going to go up, which is pretty cool. We'll see if he goes up even higher, but as of right now, that's pretty solid to see a guy, you know, progressing that well, even in high school. Then Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels has suffered a setback in his injury recovery, which sucks because, you know, Shohei Ohtani has been one of the best stars and greatest. He's the only reason why I watch any baseball highlights daily or every other day, just to see what he did, and it's been pretty fun to watch that. But it just sucks that he hasn't had his best player and most high-paid player, you know, running next to him and seeing what the Angels can finally do. But they're kind of like the Chargers. They always have like an injury history of bad luck and bad timing, so that's what happens with them. It sucks. Then yes, the schedule finally officially came out for USC football. It's pretty straightforward, but they open up at home against San Jose State and Stanford, which is pretty obvious because they have to play Notre Dame later, so they have to start with Stanford always second week or third week. Then they go on the road real quick to Washington State. Should be a win. Then they're back at home against Oregon State, another win. Away to Colorado, you never know about that team. Then they got at home to Utah, which has always been an up and down, but USC finally broke the home and home series of that last year, so hopefully they can continue that winning ways. And they go at Notre Dame as well, and then they're back at home with Arizona, and then they're away with both ASU and Cal, so we'll see how they do on those road trips. And then they're back at home for 2 more games with UCLA, and then they finish off with BYU. Usually they finish off with UCLA or even Notre Dame, but I'm surprised it's BYU, but we'll see how that goes. I know it was a bad go of things the last time they played up at BYU, but I'm pretty sure USC could get the victory this time. And then to end on some miscellaneous news, yes, the Killers, as I've been mentioning, they have some new music, and their 7th album will be coming out, I believe it's like August 13th, so it's pretty soon, next month, and it's called Pressure Machine. They've been releasing some like little trailers about kind of hearing some music in the background and just telling like a story about what the whole album is about. So that's pretty cool. Definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully it's a good album, and I heard they're working on their 8th album, so that's freaking crazy too. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.